Welcome back to a critical Let's Play of Super Mario 64. Last episode I talked about the concepts of realism and sticky friction that are present as overarching unifying aesthetic ideas at work in the game. Now we're going to move out of the tutorial space and into the main game proper by entering the castle, where we'll experience the narrative's inciting dramatic incident. Watch and listen closely to this next part. So here we have a stark, dramatic turn. Mario is greeted by a threatening musical sting and Bowser's malevolent, disembodied laughter and an admonishment to turn around and get out. But this is a brief moment, but it's a powerful one. The player is alerted in a matter of seconds that something is terribly wrong with the situation they have walked into, and it leaves them in a state of not knowing just exactly what horrible thing has happened here, thus wanting to know more. Once you've clicked through this dialogue box and the castle's courtly synthesized orchestral theme begins playing, we, the player, can move forward into the main room. Now this is the first indoor area of the game, and it's the first instance of the player experiencing some restriction as to how they can manipulate their viewing perspective with the camera. You can't turn right, you can't turn the camera left, you can't zoom the camera out. You can, however, zoom it in to get a first-person perspective of the room, but that's about it. That's a design decision that might have been motivated by technical limitations, but it works in the game's favor. When we walk up a few steps from the entryway, we see Toad on the left, the first character that the player is able to initiate conversation with of their own volition. Toad here gives a fuller explanation of what's going on. Bowser has stolen the castle's magic power stars and used them to create worlds inside of the many paintings along the castle walls, where he has trapped the princess. This doubles as an introductory explanation of how the game's main system of progression works, wherein the player is supposed to explore the castle, find magic paintings to jump into, and then explore the areas inside of them in search of the power stars. This might seem like the game is directly telling the player what to do quite a lot. Toad even tells us exactly which door to go to enter and progress through the game. But I don't want to misrepresent what we're given here. We don't have to talk to Toad in the same way that we don't have to read any of the signs in the castle's front courtyard. The first floor and mezzanine area actually deepen and clarify the game's non-linear design, rather than restrict or reduce it as such. You're given free rein to walk and run around the room, practicing different jumps in a more geometrically closed-in area, experiencing what it's like to run upstairs, jump over banisters, bump into straight up and down right-angle walls, and we're encouraged to do all of this in a subtle way because the area is crafted to remind the player of one of the 2D Mario games that predate Mario 64. The realism I mentioned last episode is strongly and clearly present in the architecture of the room. There are stairways, there are pillars, there are doors. These are all realistic features of a large, grand hallway. But when we look at the texturing of the walls, here we have an intriguing ambiguity. The rectangular geometric pattern on the walls suggests that they are made of brick and mortar, but the coloration implies that these walls are painted as well, and specifically, they are painted to resemble the background of any one of the opening levels of a 2D Mario game. This pair of central pillars flanking the staircase that have gold coins on top of them also have the effect not only of making the room feel more regal in its decoration, but also accentuating the sense in which the first floor and mezzanine are like a Mario level, even if they are not exactly one. Thus, the overall feeling the player has is that this area is not an in-between hub world just for the game's levels to traverse between, but it's a simulated physical space of play in and of itself. This idea will extend to in a variety of ways to other main areas of the castle once we get there. The other most significant feature of the first floor and mezzanine areas is that it introduces the game's two primary gating mechanics: doors whose passage we can't go through because we lack the number of stars, and doorways whose passage we can't travel through because we lack the keys to open them. The musical sting and malevolent laughter that have played during our initial entrance in the castle is repeated every time Mario walks up to open a door that he doesn't have enough stars or the right key to do so. And this is a brilliant reuse of audio assets. It gives the player a strong sense of Bowser as a foe whose presence lingers as an ethereal, looming evil, despite the fact that in reality there is nothing magical about the computer logic at work causing this experience to happen. Now, of the doors that we, the player, could potentially try to open in this area, 3 are unlocked from the outset. One of them is this door to the far left, with a star-marked symbol on it indicating a level entryway is inside the room past this door. But there are also a pair of plain brown doors that lead to a back courtyard of the castle that serve no immediate purpose other than to give the player further access to an extra tutorial space. These 2 doors are slightly hidden in the architecture of the game, recessed into the wall rather than placed on an angle that is directly viewed at by the camera. But they are unlocked, and we can walk through them down this large staircase and through this back passage hallway. One might ask, if this back courtyard area is not immediately useful to the player's progression through the game, why leave it accessible so early on? I would argue that leaving these doors unlocked and allowing them to travel into this area, leaving it ungated, is a subtle but important design decision. Once more, I want to reiterate that one of the core design aesthetics of Super Mario 64 is discovery. We, the player, enjoy playing this game, want to play this game for the excitement and wonder of exploring, finding, and uncovering places and things that are hidden, unseen, and unfamiliar. Restricting the player's freedom down to a single doorway in the first area would have made for a far poorer, less engaging experience, one that does not encourage the character to play for the sake of playing, to move around the area for the joy and the pleasure of how good it feels to experience Mario's various runs, jumps, dives, and slides. The first floor and mezzanine area of the game strike a note-perfect balance between direction and freedom. We, the player, are given the opportunity to either be told directly by Toad or discover of our own accord, attempting to open the room's several different locked doors, that there is only one way to truly move forward in the game: entering the doorway to Bob-omb Battlefield. In the next episode, I'll be talking about that.